What's up, Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro members? Eric Bray, Table Rock Fishing Intel, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. Thank you first off for being Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro members. We do appreciate that. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 913.25, so about 3 3/4 feet down. They're calling for rain Tuesday night through Sunday. 50% chance pretty much every day. Hoping they're right. We could use a little bit of fresh water. We could get the shad moving again, get things happening, maybe bring the lake level up a little bit. That would be great. As far as water temperature, we are stuck right around 70 degrees. I'm seeing 69 in the morning, 71, 72 in the afternoon, pretty much anywhere I go on the lake. So could use to see that water cool down a little bit more and get these fall bites that we're all anticipating turned on. Best way to know if that happens, of course, use your Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro membership. Stay in touch with the daily reports, the weekly reports. We had the results and interviews with the top 3 teams from the Ozark Mountain Team Trail event this past weekend. Had the champion tournament the weekend before that, had those interviews. All that stuff is on there to help you guys find and catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. But if you're coming down, say you're gonna fish the lower end of the lake. I fished the lower end a couple times last week. The whole lake is tough. Lower end is no exception, that's for sure. Best bite I've had down there is with a drop shot, primarily on gravel points that are close to deep water. The biggest thing about the drop shot bite that I would tell you is that the fish are definitely moving deeper on those gravel points. I'm not looking any shallower than 28 feet deep right now. There just does not seem to be anything that I can catch on a drop shot up there that shallow. Most of the fish are coming 30 to 40 foot deep, and most of them are hugging the bottom pretty tight. I'm not finding big schools or big groups, unless I find a big school of shad close to them, and then it does seem like that will group the fish up. But we are catching them on a shad shape and cut tail and UV drop shot worm, all the typical stuff. But they are out quite a bit deeper. Other than that, the Pee Wee HD football jig bite and the heavy cover football jig bite has been fairly good. Those fish down by the dam are anywhere from 20 to 30 feet deep. Most of them around brush, most of them around rocks. You've got to have some sort of cover to hold those fish. Few around docks if the docks extend out far enough, but really it's been brush and rock piles have really been the 2 things that we're catching them on with a football jig down by the dam. You can go up in the Long Creek. Our buzzbait bite and whopper plopper bite has slowed with the water temperature warming back up and the lack of any rain and really no fresh water coming in. You can pick a few off and going down channel swing banks with a buzzbait or a plopper, or you can hit those same banks, especially the about half to 3/4 of the way back on those channels with a jig, either a Pro Spider jig or the new Pee Wee HD Pro Spider jig. Either one of those has been working pretty good on those channel swing banks, and the fish are either going to be right up on the bank or they'll be out in the channel itself. So you got to kind of figure out where those fish are positioned each day. Go to the Kimberling City area. Fished Kimberling City yesterday. It was tough. It was tough. I'm not going to lie. It was tough. It was cold, windy, bluebird skies. We struggled a little bit. Best bite was on a drop shot rig. Most of the fish we caught, a few off of on the bottom off of gravel runouts, but really the majority of our bites came out of trees. Don't know why it was different yesterday than it was today, but most of those fish were coming out of trees anywhere from 35 to 50 foot deep over trees that were 65 or 70 back in the creek arms. Shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, that sort of thing. Talking to the guys who did well in the OMTT that fished around Kimberling City, most of them caught their fish on either a Pee Wee HD football jig or heavy cover football jig, 18 to 30 feet deep, on points, mostly gravel and rock mix points, or ledge rock mix points with brush piles or rock piles or some sort of cover down there. The fish are really relating to cover right now, so if you know where there's some brush piles out there a little bit deeper, it's a good time to go throw a jig through it, a Pee Wee HD or a heavy cover HD. Our top water bite in the mid lake is pretty much non-existent. I think I've caught 2 in the last week on it. In the mid lake, it really hasn't happened, but we are starting to see fish starting to show up on a little Kitech 2.8 swim bait. Most of those fish are relating to either treetops, the ends of docks, or deeper brush piles, and we're really using the forward-facing sonar to find those fish, throw at them. You're not going to get everyone that you throw at to bite, but there's enough of them biting that you can catch a few throwing that little Kitech 2.8 around some treetops, around the ends of docks, and around some of the deeper brush piles as well. James River, the bite up the James River has actually been pretty good. That's where your best shallow bite has been. The water's got a little bit of a stain once you get above 0.12, so that seems to make a bit of a difference to keep those fish a little bit shallower. Jig bite up there is probably the best, either Pee Wee, HD, football jig, or heavy cover football jig around the brush piles. Don't necessarily have to fish that 20 to 35 foot range up there. You can catch a lot of those fish in that 15 to 20 and even 25 foot range. It's a decent flipping bite around wood cover up there as well with a Pro Spider jig or a Pee Wee HD spider jig. Most of those fish, like I said, you've got to have wood. If you've got some wood, that really seems to be holding those fish. There are some fish around docks when you get up there, especially the docks that have brush on them. And on these calm bluebird days, a lot of the fish have started to suspend up under the docks like they tend to do in the fall. So a lot of pitching it next to the dock and swimming it back, catching fish doing that. Other bites that are working up there, topwater bite has been extremely hit or miss, buzzbait bite, that sort of thing. Most of the fish are coming on channel swings about half or three quarters of the way back into the creeks first thing in the morning or when the sun's starting to set. Crankbait bite, if you've got wind and a little bit of cloud cover, you can catch them on a rock crawler, you can catch them on a wiggle warp, on those channel swings, both in the creeks and on the main lake. But you got to cover a lot of water. I mean, you're going to cover 150 yard stretch of bank and maybe get 2 or 3 bites, and hopefully one of those 2 or 3 bites is going to be a keeper. So it's not been a super great bite up there as well. Other than that, the squarebill, spinnerbait, chatterbait bite towards the backs of the creeks, since we've not had any rain, since the shad are starting to pull out. Not saying you can't go catch 1 or 2 in the back of a creek, but it's not nearly as strong as it was when we had some fresh water coming in. Hopefully with this rain coming in this week, we'll see that change. White River's actually been pretty strong, especially from Shell Knob on up. The primary bites that are working up there, of course, drop shot rig, shed-shaped cuttail, UV drop shot worm. Again, the fish have been a little bit deeper. I've done better up there fishing trees, fishing standing timber, than I have so much the fishing out there on the flats. I have caught a few out on the flats with a jewel scuba spoon. Most of the fish, they're not quite as deep. I'm catching them between 25 and 35. I've not seen so many out there 35 and 40 and 50 feet deep, but they do seem to be a little bit shallower up the White River. It's got a little bit of color that might have something to do with it. Have caught a few on the LS spin as well, throwing it over top of the trees, and have caught a few on a Kitech 2.8, throwing it over top of the trees as well. So there are a couple of bites going up there that are shad related. As far as the jig bite, it is strong up there as well. It's actually a little bit stronger if you go up into the Kings versus up the White, unless you get way up the White, up around Eagle Rock, that sort of thing. And again, most of the fish are relating to wood, whether it be a brush pile, whether it be a stump row, whether it be standing timber. A lot of these fish are relating to wood. The bite's been anywhere from about 15 to 30 feet deep, depending on water clarity, how bright and sunny it is, whether you've got wind or not. But you can certainly catch them on a Pee Wee HD football jig or on the heavy cover football jig up there. Topwater bite, it's the same story all over the lake. We keep wanting this fall topwater bite. It was started, weather screwed us up, got warm again, pushed that topwater bite back off. If we get this rain, if we get this weather, they say it's going to come in, I really expect that topwater bite to be better. And I expect the spinnerbait, chatterbait, squarebill, and crankbait bite. I mean, you can catch a few in a crankbait up there if you get a windy day, but it will get better if this water cools off a little bit and we get this weather that they're calling for this week. Guys, we are almost done with October, and it feels like September, maybe even August. I mean, it's warm. It's going to be 80 degrees today. So I don't know. I got no clue, but the bite's been tough for the last week or two, but I think it's going to get better. This rain that we got coming in this week is really, I think, what the doctor ordered as far as getting everything back on track to be back to our wintertime bite or fall bite that we've all been looking for, with a buzz bait and a jig and that sort of thing. And I mean, you can go out and catch fish. It's just right now you're not going to catch numbers of fish like we normally do in the fall. It's The fish are scattered, and it's made it a lot tougher to go out there and try to find a bunch of fish. A school of fish here, a school of fish there, or a bunch of them up on the bank. Should get better. Best way to know, of course, use your Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro membership and get all the daily reports, weekly reports, all that information that we supply to you to help you catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. But again, if you're coming down, you want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, where you can either book online or shoot me an email. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Again, thanks for being Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro members, but thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.